Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to learn about how to use the user-defined functions into the Power Apps. But before we move into the video, there is a short intro. Right now, I am in my dev environment and I am going to create a new app. And I'm going to provide a name as UDF demo. Now let's wait for this app to complete. And as you can see, now the app is ready. And the first thing what we have to do is we have to go into the settings. And then inside the settings, we have to go and click on the updates. And inside these updates, we have to go and check for the preview features. So let's scroll down and now we can see the user defined functions in here. We have to first go and enable these user defined functions. Those are basically the name formulas with parameters and logical reuse. Once we have this enabled, we have to just go and save this. So now we are going to save the application. Let's wait for the application to be saved. It will take some time to save the application for the first time. As you can see now, the application has been changed, saved, and now we have to hard refresh or simply refresh the browser. So once the app has been refreshed, let's wait for these things to getting ready. Okay, and as you can see, now the application is ready. If you see this warning, like the app is in read-only mode and you have to override it, just click on override. There is nothing to worry about that. And before we move ahead, we have to first go into the settings and just make sure that particular user-defined function preview feature is enabled. So as you can see, it's enabled. So we are good to go now. Now, let me click on this app. And from this app, we need to go in the property formulas. When I click on the formulas, in this particular section or the formula bar, I can write my own formulas. For example, I'm writing NF multiply. And when I do the parentheses and colon, I see multiple options. These are the different options available which can be written from any user-defined formulas. So for example, I want to return number in here and my formula or my this particular NF multiply function has two things to do. It is multiplying N1 and N2. So let me describe N1 as number. So the data type of this particular N1 parameter is number, and then the N2 parameter, which is also a number. So the output of this NF multiply is going to be number, which is a multiplication of N1 and N2. Okay, now let me go into my this screen one, and here I'm going to add a text box, basically two text boxes. Let me go and remove this. And now let me try to add another text box. Let me remove it. Okay, now this is the text box where I'm going to use that user defined formula, that is NF multiply 6, my first parameter, second parameter 5. As you can see, the multiplication has been completed and now the value has been shown as 30. Okay, so this is how you can reuse those formulas in any place where you want. Now let me do one thing. Let me add one text input and let me add another text input. And let me remove these text input words from these text boxes. And let me do one thing. Here, let me insert one button. This button will work as sum. And in this particular text box, we are going to display the sum of these two text boxes. Let me just remove this particular function. Now, when someone clicks on the sum button, so on select property of the sum button or method, we want to create one local variable called as sum. So I'm going to create update context. The variable name is sum. And in here, I'm going to define or use my nf multiply user defined function, and the parameters are n1 and n2, but the text box values are string value, and we define the n1 and n2 as number. So we have to convert that using the value. So value is equals value with text input 3 dot text, value in this text input 4 dot text. So text input 4 dot text. And now we have to add the closing parentheses and then the main curly braces and then the final closing parentheses. So now our sum variable is ready. Okay. And in this particular label, what we are going to do is we are going to add this sum variable as in text value into here. So if I go and run this application now, if I value as 5 and 6, the sum is 30. If I go put value 8, sum is 40. So as you can see, we can use the nf multiply function in this. Okay. So now let me do one more thing. So let me go and define another named formula or the user defined function in this. And I'm going to call it as nf random. And this particular nf random function is not going to have any parameters into it, and it is going to return me a number value. And I'm going to use the RAND, that rand function, which is available for the random values into the Power Apps. And I'm going to multiply these RAND random values with 100 to get two digit numbers with decimal values. So the next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this nf random, copy it in here. I'm going to insert new button. I'm going to place it here, and I'm going to rename this button to random, right? And this random button will go and call that nf random function. That is a user defined function, right? So I'm going to write on select nf random, but also I'm going to create one local variable as update used by using update context. So I'm going to call it as random number, and here I'm going to use that nf random function. Okay. So as you can see, my nf random function is used and random number is a variable that we want to use. Okay. And this particular, uh, I'm going to add one more text input in here or the text box, and whatever random number variable we have created in the default value, I'm going to set that. Okay. So that is a random value it is having. So if I go and click on this random, the value has been changed. So random values are working. The same way, if I go and make the 54 multiplied by 8, the value is 432. Okay. The next thing is I'm going to add one more button, and I'm going to rename this button as patch. Okay. So what we want to do in this case is we want to add one data source. I'm going to use the SharePoint as a data source in this case, and I'm going to select one of my existing SharePoint list. So let me just go and search for my site. That is, my site's name is dev25, and I'm going to select my list. That is a test list I have created called as test. Okay, I'm going to select this list and click on connect. So once my list is connected with my SharePoint site, let me open the SharePoint list as well. So here we have two values. One is test as in column, and the name of the list is also test. Okay. So in this patch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one more user defined function called as nf patch. And this nf patch function will have two parameters. First is e-title, which is going to be getting the value as text. And another one is our text, that is rich text or random text, I can say, and it has value as text as well. We can have any other values as well. Now, the thing which we have to understand is the patch function does not return any value. So we have to use void in this case, but these are the different parameters we can have as a return type. So we have used the numbers and we can use other values. Now let's do the actual patch of this test list. So what we have to do is we have to get the source record that is going to be added or updated. Currently, we are going to work on the add record. So I'm going to use test. Then to add a record, we have to go and use the defaults. So we are using the default, then test, that is the name of the list. And here we have to provide our record. So we are going to update two fields. One is title. So I'm going to update the title field with the parameter e-title. And the other thing is the taste column, which we have in the list. And we are going to update or add the value, which is our taste into it. Okay. Once we have it, we have to close the patch, right? And now our function is ready. But as you can see, there is a squiggly line for void. And to avoid that, we have to do one thing. So void is something, these two values or two columns which we are considering. So if we go and hover on that void, it says it is only supported with user defined functions. To overcome that, we have to simply do one thing. We have to add curly braces on the start and end of our function. Now the error is removed. And now I can use this npatch function on my patch button. So simply what I will do, I will use that npatch. The first parameter is e-title. So I'm going to provide a title as Sigurd the way. And I'm going to provide a text which is going to be updated into that taste column. This is a taste from Power Apps. Okay. So this is my second value for the taste column. Now, if I go and run this application, and when I click on this patch button, as you can see, the process has been completed. If I go and refresh my SharePoint list, I can see a new entry as Sigurd Dave. And if I go and check the items details, like let me just go and click on it. As you can see, the title is there and the taste column as well. This is a taste from the comments that we added as a new variable. Now, let me do one thing. Let me add one more button in here. Let me go and add a button. And instead of button, let me call it as an update. Okay. And what we want to do in this update is we are going to create one more function that is a user defined function for update of the data. So I'm going to call it as nf update. It is also going to have the same type of parameters for now. So e-title and r-text are the two parameters. The patch function is going to return void. It is not returning anything. So now I'm going to write a patch function. And in this, I'm going to add test as my data source or the record which we want to have. And instead of default, now we want to update. So we have to use a lookup function for updating particular record where I'm going to add lookup into the taste list where id equal to 9. So the record which we just added has the id equal to 9 for this Sigurd way. So I'm giving id is equals to 9 and what we want to update in here. So I'm going to add those two values as title, whichever we are going to pass into the e-title, and taste column value is something we pass into the r text parameter and close it. Okay. Now, if you go into that update function or update button, I am going to call that nf update function in here. And I'm going to provide the parameter, first parameter as Sigurd the way, the SharePoint guy instead of Sigurd the way. And the second parameter I'm going to have is Power Apps. Easy, right? So here when we go and run this, okay, let me check what we have missed. Okay, yeah, there is one missing parameter or missing parenthesis in here. So let me just go and add that. Now our function is complete. If we go and let me just try to format. So now it's perfect. Okay. Now let me just go and run this application one more time. When I click update, and if I go and refresh this page, as you can see, it's changed from Sigurd the way to Sigurd the way, the SharePoint guy and the Power Apps. Okay, so yes, this is a very quick introduction about the user-defined function into the Power Apps and how you can create multiple reusable functions using it. So instead of having same code replicated or duplicated at multiple places, you can use these user-defined functions. I hope you like this video, and if you like this video, then please like, share and comment on the video, and if you haven't subscribed my channel yet, then please subscribe. See you in the next one. Thank you.